Yes guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a new video and welcome to Tonali Watch. That's right, we are down here at St James's Park on the lookout for Newcastle's newest incoming signing, the £70 million Italian midfielder Sandro Tonali. And to be fair, I've not seen him yet, and I'm not surprised. It's absolutely lashing it down out there. I've just come in here into the car park to get out the rain. I'm not surprised if he wants to maybe stay in Italy or Romania for a few more days before heading over to Newcastle. And in fairness, that is what is being reported by Sky Sports, that he's not due into Newcastle potentially until Wednesday. It was actually said the club could potentially announce the signing this weekend, but that he may not actually arrive and have his photo shoot and stuff done until later in the week. You can kind of understand why Newcastle have waited if they're going to spend as much as £70 million or 55, 60 million pounds, as some others are reporting. You can understand why they might want to wait a couple of days, get the photos and do the big reveal for the player. So, as I've said, I would not be surprised over the next few days if we see quite a few Newcastle fans with their tents and their picnics sat outside of the door that we have seen Isak and Gordon and quite a few players walk in and out of, right next to the Bobby Robson statue, over the next few days. And it will be exciting, and I cannot wait to see him in that black and white top. But it hasn't stopped Newcastle for looking at other options. A few new links to new players coming out since we lost out on Madison and Szoboszlai. Quite a few other players have started to be named, a few of which we've heard of in the past, so I'll talk a little bit about them. And while I was down here walking past St James's Park, I did also have a quick pop into the club shop as well. Had a look at the strips for the first time in person. It's manic in there. I tell you what, if you are planning on coming down and getting a strip, either do it first thing in the morning or do it on a weekday. Coming in here at 3 o'clock on a Sunday probably wasn't the best of ideas. The queues, by the way, waiting for the names on the back of the shirts, the Champions League badges, some wait. It's not just the strips that are on offer, they've got all of the training stuff in there as well, which I'll show you at the end of this video because I really like. I've got this one from last season. You know why I like it? Because it hasn't got Fun 88 on the front, and they've been doing that with some of the other training stuff for this upcoming season as well, so we'll talk about that too. So as I say, if you are planning on heading down here in the hope to get a glimpse of Tonali over the next few days, well, first of all, bring your umbrella, because it's absolutely chucking it down. Second of all, bring plenty of sandwiches, because every single day it seems to be that the Tonali announcement move is getting moved back a few extra days. Sky Sports, Fabrizio Romano are reporting there's no issues, and that it's done, that it is done. We are just literally waiting for Newcastle to announce it. It's a bit of a funny one, isn't it? Because really, Newcastle fans know it's happening. So in terms of holding off for the announcement, I think more than anything, it's for the wider audience. It's for other teams, other countries, and we're talking about this pretty much every day. So the moment that it is announced by Newcastle on the Twitter, on the website, it will be an elation to know that it's done, but it won't be a surprise because it's all that we've talked about for the last 2 weeks. So yeah, I am excited to see it finally happen, but what I think they are wanting to do is really make a grand statement of it. By the way, other players that we are looking at and are hoping to potentially lure to the club this summer, that's what we did for him, by the way. We had a huge announcement. You can come in and be part of what we are trying to create at this club. And I will say, by the way, before we get on to some of the players that have been linked in the media over the last 48 hours, I've got no doubt that Dan Ashworth and Eddie Howe are working really hard to try and make some big moves this summer window. And it's strange, isn't it? Because, as you say, you look back a couple of years where you would literally, if anything, turn the football off, turn off Sky Sports News, because you know for a fact Newcastle are doing nothing over the summer. And I love the one that everyone keeps talking about, how we couldn't afford the 1 million for Hamza Chowdhury from Leicester just a couple of years ago, and now we're buying Tonali for 70 million. And it's a great investment, and it's great fun for fans to want to be involved with and talk about and speculate over what players Newcastle could or maybe will go for this summer window. And on one hand, Eddie and Dan Ashworth have got it under control, I'm sure. But on the other hand, it's a big summer. I think a lot of fans know that we are going to play a minimum of 46 games next season. That includes the league, the group stages of the Champions League, and 1 game from Carabao and FA Cup. If we are able to go far in any of those tournaments, you're going to need to bring some players in. And the thing is, it's still early in the window. We still have pretty much 2 months to go, but the quicker we start to get things done, the easier it is later in the window. You know, we don't want to have a January situation where we have to wait till the final day to bring Gordon in over the line. And I think that's why we'd love to see Tonali announced and then start looking at a few more of these players. So, who are Newcastle being linked with over the last 48 hours? Lindstrom is one, the Frankfurt winger, just 23 years old, and someone who has been ripping it up over in the Bundesliga, to be fair. He is a player Newcastle are being linked with for a fee of around 25 million. As you'd imagine, with a young, talented player, Newcastle are not the only side being linked with him at the moment. There is a few other Premier League sides as well as other teams across Europe, but Newcastle are in a pretty good place right now. As I've mentioned, Champions League football, a manager who not only brings players in but makes them even better. I was seeing Joe Linton, Callum Wilson have the best seasons of their lives. I mean, there's some great pulls to Newcastle right now, so although other teams are interested, we're in a good place. And speaking of Lindstrom, it's a right midfield winger position where I think Newcastle could do with a little bit of help. And one thing he did do for Frankfurt last season and score, I think, 9 goals, got 7 assists, quite a lot of goal contributions. I think that's one thing we could do with adding to our side. Like, I think Miggy had a great spell for us last season, and I would love if Miggy could play like that every game, all the time, or even just that, 10 to 12 game spell, if he could extend that to 20 games in a season. I don't think we'd be looking at that position maybe as much as we are, but I think to really compete, as I mentioned, in so many games next season, to have strength and depth in every position would be great. And because Lindstrom can play really across most of the front midfield on either wing, a versatile player that would be great for us. Another player we are being linked with again, by the way, a few teams have been linked with this guy, is Imminent Torres. Now, you might remember him mostly from his time at Man City, where he kind of came on the scene. I mean, he scored a hat-trick against us, didn't he? So he knows how to find the back of the net, but things didn't really work out. He wasn't quite getting the game time he wanted. He moved over to Barcelona, where he's really not got much game time either. I mean, if Lewandowski is the other striker in the squad, and the sun's starting to shine behind me there on St James's Park, you can understand why maybe he's not quite getting the game time he wants. Xavi's actually come out in an interview and said that his future is unknown, so could he be making a move? Again, he is, I think, 23 years old, striker, but tricky, quick player that I think could maybe move either side. The striker one's a funny one because you'd imagine this season we could potentially see Isak start to play maybe a little bit more than he did this season. Obviously, he was out with a couple of injuries, and I do genuinely think that if Isak plays, the majority of the season without injury, how many goals could he get? A lot. But at the same time, despite the fact that Callum Wilson is, injury prone, although this season he did all right, and I think that was because we were sharing the minutes, but he also had the season of his life. How many goals did he score? He scored a hell of a lot of goals. So to now turn around and go, by the way, we're bringing in a new striker, could potentially be quite harsh. So you let me know your thoughts on Imminent Torres. Is that someone Newcastle should be interested in? I mean, he's a cracking player. Hasn't really worked out at Man City, didn't really work out at Barcelona. Is Newcastle and St James's Park the place that could work out for him? You'll have to let me know your thoughts down below. And with the sun shining, I'll come and step out here and give you guys a bit of a nicer view of St James's Park. As I said, had to go and hide in the car park earlier because of how minging the weather's been this Sunday afternoon. But as I say, I did have a pop into the club shop earlier on as well, which, by the way, is manic. And what I will add as well is that the shirts are all kept upstairs now. They used to be when you go in downstairs, the shirts would be there on the racks, ready to take. They've moved them all upstairs. And it's because a few naughty Newcastle fans have been going in and lifting them up and walking straight out the shop. So they've actually put some security on. They've actually put some ropes around the entrance to make it harder for people to run in and grab shirts. So yeah, it's a good thing they've moved them upstairs to try and stop that. And as I mentioned earlier on in the video, my first time really seeing the shirts in the club shop since they've been released. I like them. You know what it is? I think the big thing with the black and white shirt this season is the seller logo is black and white. I think that's so much better. I think the fact that it matches the shirt, I think the fact that the Castore badge is also white rather than blue really fits the shirt that little bit better. And I should say it's really windy out here as well, so hopefully the audio sounds okay. I went to go and see the new away top, the green top. The online just didn't really blow me away, but to be fair, in there they've already bloody sold out of all of the size larges. There is no shirts at the minute in there right now with the Champions League badges already printed on. People have been saying online, well, why don't they just pre-print all the badges? I was talking to the guy in the shop. He said if they wanted to have every single top pre-printed with the Champions League badge, you'd have to do a night shift overnight to get them done. He says literally they have loads in stock available with the badges already printed. By the time you get in at lunchtime, they've all gone. So you've got to then go and join the queue to get you. So if you want to walk in and hopefully buy the top with the badges already on, try and get it in there in the morning. But yeah, I like the look of them both. I don't think I'll rush and buy the away top just yet. I think I'm definitely going to get the home shirt. Probably wait around a little bit longer, see what maybe the new third kit looks like before I get them. But one thing I am doing is holding off on getting any names on the back as well. Obviously, if you're a fan of the Premier League badges and the Premier League writing on the back, then get yourself in there and go for it. But if you want the Champions League badge on and want the Champions League writing on the back, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer, which is why I'm waiting. Well, first of all, to make sure we get the squad numbers right. I know Adam's risked it with the number 20 Tonali. I have not quite risked that, to be fair. I think I'll wait, see what the numbers are, but then go back in, get the Champions League badge and the Champions League writing on the back. It won't be red, I don't think. I think it'll be white, possibly like, you know, what it was the last time we were in the Champions League, which would be quite fun. The same style again, that would be quite nice to see. But let me know your thoughts down below on Tonali. Will you be getting your camping gear and your picnic out ready to see him hopefully arrive at Newcastle in the next few days? What do you think of the players we're being linked with in terms of Lindstrom and Torres? Or is there somebody else you might hope to maybe see join the club? And have you bought the new home or away kits yet? And what do you think of them? Are you going to get the Champions League badges? Are you going to get the new Champions League writing as well? And who are you going to get on the back? That'll be a good one. Let me know that down in the comments below. Alright guys, thanks for watching as always. Drop a like, subscribe. I'm going to get back in the house where it's not windy and raining, and hopefully it's not when Tonali arrives either, because we want him to see some nice lovely sunshine, get him down the big market for a few beers and maybe a pizza or a pasta. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I'll catch you later.